first of all, Tim, thank you for being my first virtual guest on Back to Broadcast as I lost my voice and we had to cancel our studio session, which I apologize for.
Well, oh, you lost your voice. Oh my gosh. Well, you have a great voice. So,
Oh, that is so nice. Thank you. It was bad too. It was a good 2 weeks. I could not speak, and I was also moderating an interview at WonderCon. In 2 days, it was
oh my gosh.
rough. But she's returned, and we're back.
Good, good.
Well, I am honored to be talking to someone who's been on so much network television. Like, I've seen so many of your shows. I'm a huge fan. And I
Yeah.
always love to start off by asking, what is it that you love about that weekly episode drop? You got to be at your TV, your device at 8 p.m. so you can all experience a new episode of TV together.
Well, it used to be a collective thing. It was like going to the movies. It was like you because you could talk about it the next day. Everybody would see it at the same time. But now it's totally changed with streaming. People see it all in different phases, and they some people come up to me and say, "Oh, I just saw, the new season of Virgin River," and then I realize they're talking about 2 seasons ago, and so it's like you never know what they've seen, but it's fascinating that, and some people are just finding our show on Netflix, so they've seen, oh, I saw first season and I love it. Can't wait to see the rest of them. But we've been on for 7 seasons. We're getting ready to shoot the eighth season, and it's exciting to be to be a part of a program that's endured as long as we have, and just feels like it keeps getting better, and the family keeps growing, and we get closer and closer every year, and with the crew and the cast mostly the same. It's a joy, really. It's a joy.
So you are in Vancouver. Did you say you haven't started filming yet for season 8? You're about to?
Yeah, we'll start, I think, in 2 weeks.
Okay.
There's always prep. You have makeup, hair, wardrobe, and things to get done before you start, and things like that. So, all the technical stuff, and then we start shooting. And Martin Henderson, one of our stars, is directing the first episode, and he directed one 2 years ago, and he's wonderful. And speaking as a director myself, it's it's a big leap to make, and it was very rewarding for me, and I know it is for him.
Well, Doc had such an interesting storyline in season 7. It was really reflective of, these small businesses trying to survive in corporate world. So I love that they put that in there in their own way, with everything that happened with the medical board in Grace Valley. How did you approach that shift for him? I mean, it's a big change.
Well, it was great fun as an actor because oftentimes I just put my lab coat on. We got the medical stuff, and we've got me and Mel doing our stuff, and it's sort of medical centric. But this season, it was everything but medicine for me because he wasn't allowed to practice. His license had been suspended, and so he got back into piano playing. Played pickleball, spend more time with his grandson and great grandson, and more time with Hope, and so it was like exploring all these different aspects of his life. It's almost like, what would you do if you retired, if you or you forced to retire? And so it was a whole other flip side of the coin of Doc Mullins, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. It was great. It was so different than what we normally do, and it was very emotional too, like the hearing of the medical board, and that he had to go and talk about his history, and why he wants to be why he wanted to be a doctor, and why he wanted to be a doctor and open the clinic in Virgin River.
Well, you mentioned Hope. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit worried about Doc and Hope after season 7. How did you feel about where they left their relationship when season 7 wrapped up?
It's a cliffhanger, and it's one of those things that mostly relationships always evolve and change and go through dramas and traumas, and people change, and so I think there'll be more of that in season 8, and it's but in all of the characters in Virgin River, there's very little sort of still water. Usually it's a turbulent kind, there's something always upsetting the apple cart. In any and every relationship, like Bree is torn between Mike and Brady, and she, and Mel, and has troubles with the baby, and she, and her past, and Doc and Hope had the same thing. Well, they didn't talk for 20 years, I mean, um, so it could, because of his errant ways, when he thought he lost a patient and got drunk and then had an affair, and so it spoiled their relationship for a long time until he sort of brokered a peace treaty, and then they got remarried.
Every relationship's got to have its drama. That's they have quite a bit, but keeps
I
things
know.
interesting.
That's for sure.
I also love that you guys always have these town-wide events. And I was reading online that it's kind of like an event for the cast too when you film that. Can you talk a little bit about behind the scenes? Like what all do you guys get to do?
Well, what's happened is everybody's got their little niche story. It's sometimes you're only working with a certain few actors here and a few there. And I mostly work with Alex Breckenridge, who plays Mel, my nurse practitioner, and I work with Muriel, and I work with Hope. And but very rarely do I I haven't had too many scenes with Martin Henderson, who plays Jack, or Preacher lately, and so at these events we all are together in the same scene, and it's great because we get to hang out for a day or 2 days, or however long it takes to shoot it, and spend time together. Because at the beginning of the show, there were always bar scenes. We were always in the bar. We were always in there together, and we spent a lot of time together. And now, as we get siphoned off into our own little storylines and things, we get pulled apart more often. And so it's a great joy to be back to the old, the band is back together. It's sort of like that feeling.
Well, it said on IMDb, I think your episode count was 74 for Virgin River.
Wow.
So, like, you've definitely had a lot of story to explore, but I am always curious, is there a plot line that you've thought of that you were like, I think it would be cool if we did this with Doc that hasn't been done yet?
Well, I know I do a lot of reading about, rural medicine, and when there's one doctor and 200 square miles, and people have to travel, and they do everything. And oftentimes they get a call to to birth a calf. And so we didn't quite do that, but we did do a scene where he treated a horse that was ill, and he and Hope ministered to this horse, and got it to come around, and so that falls into it, and then the one that got him into trouble was when he operated, to relieve pressure on a man's brain who was going to die because a blood vessel had burst in his brain. So he actually didn't have tools, but he drilled with a home drill just into just under the bone, and released all the pressure and saved the man's life. But it cost him his his license. His license was suspended because of that, and because of the corporate hospital trying to take over his clinic. So there's always something different, and you have to be a jack of all trades to be a rural doctor in a clinic. And plus, everybody. They're all your friends or family. So it's even harder to deal with that. And how do you separate yourself and your own personal feelings from caring and nurturing your patients?
Have you done any table reads or anything for season 8? Like, do you have an idea of where the storyline is going, or are you still waiting to find out too?
I've seen the first 4 episodes, and it's it's fascinating. It's wonderful. I mean, I think these writers are wonderful, and always take us in different places where we didn't think we'd go and didn't know we'd go, and it's exciting so you're not doing the same thing every week, and it's evolving and changing, and there's a lot of new ground to be broken in the four that I've read, and then there's six more after that that I haven't seen. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm hanging on by a thread, going like, what's gonna happen?
I know they keep us all wondering, which is the sign of good TV.
I think so, yes.
Well, as someone who grew up in the era of CW teen dramas, I would not be doing my due diligence if I did not ask you about Heart of Dixie.
Oh,
I mean, fans loved the bond between Brick and Zoe, so I would love to hear just what you appreciated about having Rachel Bilson as a scene partner.
well, that wasn't all, it wasn't hard to act, being close to Zoe because Rachel I adored, and she's such a wonderful actor, and she's so smart and so funny and so nice. And so and fun to be in a scene with, and in a funny way it's sort of Virgin River, only more comedic version of it, broader, and because it's about a small town in rural Alabama where there's it's kind of mean girls. There's some mean girls there, my daughter being one of them. And so I just had so much fun with that show, and it wasn't so medically focused. I mean, yes, we were in a clinic, and we worked together. She and I both worked together as doctors, but it was more about the social relationships and the competition between the men over Zoe, and so it was it was great fun.
People are still talking about the relationship between your characters. I actually saw a Reddit thread from I think not too long ago where everyone was talking about their favorite scenes between them. I was curious, I know it's been a while, but is there a scene that the two characters had that really stands out to you that you look back on fondly?
With Rachel,
Yes.
I mean, there were so many. Gosh, I just loved being in. I loved being in the office with her, and bantering with her about medicine, and bantering with her about the things that were going on. And the other thing that I loved about that show was I directed probably two episodes every year, and working with her as a partner, as a director, and she as an actor was such a treat because she could turn on a dime. I'd say, "Hey, what if you tried this? What if you did that? Or what do you want to do? What do you think? We've tried this. What do you want to do? You want to try something else? What do you?" And I could always just look to her, and just she'd always make a new interesting choice and try something different. And then she just would sort of go like, "Well, use the best one. Use whatever you think is the best one." So she was just so open and giving as an actor. And I think Donald Sutherland, who I worked with in Animal House, but also a couple of times, one in a movie, and once I directed him in a show called Dirty Sexy Money. And he always just said, I try to fall in love with the director when I start a movie so that I can give myself to them and do what they want. Let them lead me. And knowing Donald, that was said in quotes. I mean, he knew exactly what he wanted to do and was doing. But when he cared that much about a director and trusted them, he'd go there. If they wanted to try something crazy, he'd go. He was that kind of, and Rachel was always very trusting and fun to direct too, and and always would find something original and clever and fun, and a new joke somewhere.
Well, yeah, touching on your directing, because you have directed so many things. I mean, from like Psych to Lucifer, all these incredible shows. Because you've done so much of that and acting, what is the number one thing that you kind of noticed benefits the other? How do those two play hand in hand for you?
Well, I think I learned as a director that it's to help build the team of the crew. I become part of the team of the crew is really a director's primary job, because that's really the family you're joining. It's like going to a party. You're invited to a party, that's been there for a long time, and you drop in if you're an episodic director, and you drop in for one episode, and um, you're just invited into their party. So you just want to have a good time, enjoy being with the people on the crew and the cast, and and especially actors that have been in the show for several years. You're not going to change them. They've got it. They know what they've done hours and days and days and weeks and months of this character. So I would always just rely on them to say, what are you thinking about this scene? Here's what I was thinking, and how does this work with you? And if they had strong feelings about it one way or the other, I say, well, let's go that way. Let's try that. Because an actor who's been doing the show that many times, that many scenes with that character, more than likely knows exactly what to do there. Some want to be directed. I mean, they all invite direction, but and I'm just there as a coach to see if they, like if there's one little part where you could try this and maybe, but other than that, it's great. I mean, you're just there to sort of help them if they miss something.
Well, moving on to another project of yours, anybody who knows me knows that I'm a huge 911 fan. I was watching the
Oh my.
original back in the day, and you happen to be on 911 Nashville. And I know you've worked with Rashad before. And I love Rashad. He's so great
Isn't
on Lone
he?
Star. Such a sweet guy too. And I saw
He's the showrunner of the show,
yes,
Rashad
yes,
Rostan.
yes.
Yes.
And I saw that he said you were basically a series regular at this point. So,
Wow.
so
Listen, I loved working with them. I just thought it was great. Chris O'Donnell is an amazing lead of a show like that, and he carries the show. And he's after so many years of what his previous show. It's just wonderful to watch somebody who's so skilled at it, and so it was really a joy to be on that show.
have you gotten any word about whether you're coming back for season two?
I know the show's been renewed. No, I don't know. I mean, I go day to day, and let if they find if they want my character to interact, and be involved in the storyline, I'm more than happy to join in. But I just take it as it comes, and it was nice to hear Rashad say that, and he told me that he loved having me on the show, and because I'd worked with him on Burn Notice, and what happened was. On Burn Notice, I came in only as a director, and I did a good episode the first year of the show, and then they invited me back for the second year for like this second or third episode, and that had a really very interesting character, and we called him Dead Larry, and he was the sort of spy that had taught Michael all of his craftsmanship. He was his partner back when Michael was a junior agent, and but he was a rat. He was a killer, and that we couldn't cast it. And I kept thinking, oh well, you'll find somebody. And they said you should play it, and I go, yeah. And I didn't know if they were kidding or if they were just being nice or gracious, and. But then they finally just said, no, 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 we think you should play this. And I thought for a minute before I said yes. I thought I could end two careers here with one bullet. I could if I don't do well as a director or as an actor, I'm a dead man. And I had acted and directed before in certain shows, but this was a very fine, comedic, dramatic kind of show, you know. But I took the job, and it turned out well. And I think because of the support of the other actors, and Bruce Campbell and Jeffrey Donovan, that they helped me craft the character, and I helped craft the show, we did a good job, and I was thrilled. I came back like four or five times, and loved working on that show and loved working with Rashad.
Okay, so this is very random and specific, but when I was younger, my mom would let us watch one show at the table, and that show was King of Queens, and I had a favorite episode.
Oh no! Oh my gosh!
And it was the episode with Dr. Farber. Can we just reflect on that episode for a moment? Because that was peak comedy.
Yes. It was, I played a dentist who had been in love with Kevin James' wife and when she was single and had a bit of a grudge against him for, sort of stealing her from me. So when he came to me as a patient, I did not treat him well. I think I punished him a little bit, as dentists could often do, and it was a fun evil character to play, and who apparently was very nice, and he's
He
just
was, yeah. That was what was so funny about it.
yeah. I mean, the more evil the character, the more fun it is to play, almost always.
See, I was also scared of the dentist as a child, and I remember watching that episode. I was like, okay, now I really don't want to go back.
I know exactly what you mean.
What a great episode. Well, lastly, I love to end on this question because I think it's really important that we are all proud of ourselves in this industry. We recognize our strengths. So I would love to know what you are most proud of in your performance of either a specific character or the way you just approach your characters in general.
Well, that's an interesting question. I think the thing that satisfies me the most is making it simple. I learned from Clint Eastwood, and your first few takes are usually the best. The more you labor at a scene, the more acting the more it gets more manipulative, and the more you're really acting, and God knows, I think the rule that I've always lived by is don't get caught acting. Make it look like Henry Fonda. He said to me, acting is you walk in, you hit your mark, you look them in the eye, and you tell them the truth. And so I think I just keep learning how to redo that and to keep breathing and just, don't, it's just, it's just to be simple and to be honest and to be real. And if you know where the jokes are, that's important, and how, and those kind of characters. And the, the, the thing I love is, as a director, I learned use multiple cameras, and I often shoot the close up along with the master scenes of the most dramatic moments for a character. I almost shoot always the close up in the first few takes, because I learned it from reading about John Ford and about Clint Eastwood, that he would never let them rehearse John Ford would never let them rehearse the emotional scenes before they went to camera. Henry Fonda was, I think, young Abe Lincoln, and with a woman who played his mother, and they had a scene that was a very emotional scene, and he just said, "No, no, we're not going to rehearse it. We'll rehearse it on film." And they just went to tremendous depths, and emotion just flowed from both of them when they did. They said the words for the first time, and Clint taught me that in Magnum Force, that just the realest takes are usually the first takes, because you're not trying to recreate something. So I think that's the biggest lesson I've ever learned, and I keep trying to use that. And sometimes it's harder for a director to do that, but skilled directors know, don't beat it to death. You just really just get it. Just when you got it, print it, move on. When you get an honest performance, keep it and just get out of there.
I love that answer. Well, thank you so much, Tim, for coming on today, going down memory lane with me. You are
Thank you,
such a
Rachel.
lovely human to speak with.
Oh, you're the best. You're the best.